everyone. This is the Popcorn Heroes review of Enola Holmes, a Netflix movie. I am Armando. With me, as always, is Pedro. What's going on, man?
Hello.
What's going on? All right, Pedro. So we are going to be talking about the latest, one of the latest Netflix movies called Enola Holmes, starring Henry Cavill and the girl from Stranger Things. I got her name right now.
Millie Bobby Brown.
So Pedro, as we usually do, we do our 1 out of 5 quick thoughts and a small spoiler-free thoughts. All right, buddy, and then we could just jump right into it.
All right, but wait, the premise.
Oh my God, Pedro! Oh, you saved the podcast dude from being a failure. You saved it, man.
Yeah, almost. The listeners would have been like, "These fucking nobodies. How can they not? They're not consistent."
Consistency.
Yes,
man.
we are.
Consistency.
Yes, we are, listeners.
Pedro, tell us the premise.
All right, so Enola Holmes is based off the book series The Enola Holmes Mysteries by Nancy Springer. And just like the title, it is about a Holmes family member, about a sister that no one knew ever existed.
Yes.
So the movie pretty much follows the... What was it? Oh, yes. So she's being raised by her mother, by herself. The mother goes missing, and now she's trying to find her mother with the help of her brothers. Or maybe not.
Lovely. Amazing recap, Pedro. Only you could do such greatness.
Thank you.
All right. So, what did you think, Pedro? Small thoughts, 1 out of 5.
You know, I actually give it a 4 out of 5. I actually really liked it. I thought it was going to be garbage. I guess I went into it thinking, oh man, this is so stupid.
Yeah.
I don't know. It looks so cheesy. And yeah, it is kind of cheesy, but it just felt right. Like, yeah, well, we'll get into the specifics later, but pretty much I just thought it was a really fun movie, and I didn't think it was... I don't know how to say it without... I'll get into the spoilers on that part. But I just thought it was really fun, and I thought, each actor did a pretty good job of, portraying their roles just as exaggerated as it needed to be. And the overall conflict, I guess, I enjoyed. It was definitely a lot more adult than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be very kiddie going into it, and it wasn't. I mean, it had its kiddie moments, but overall, I was like, oh shit, this is actually a pretty mature movie. So, I don't know. I liked it so much because it surprised me. I went into it with a certain mindset, and it showed me something else. So, overall, I do recommend it, and I'm excited to see the rest of them, the sequels. Hopefully, they're as good.
If they ever do it.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Pedro. I'm literally right in the same boat with you. I give it 4 out of 5. I thought, as I was watching it, I just felt very happy watching the movie. I felt entertained. I felt like I was into the story. I liked the characters. Nobody in this movie was a shitty character to me, in my eyes. Like, I didn't hate none of them. And I enjoyed Millie Bobby Brown. I think she carried the movie pretty well. Like, she held her own.
Yes.
And I think that's, like, key to the key reason why this movie worked so well is because she was very likable. She was very charismatic. And she, like I said in the beginning, she carried the movie. She was able to carry this movie on her own. And I think that made the movie so much better. Because, sometimes they cast these kids in these movies and they can't carry shit, But she was able to do that. And it felt really good. And, she's a great actress, dude. Like, the more I see, like, in this movie on its own, like, I mean, I was like, damn, she's really good at, her craft or whatever. I think she kicked it out of the park. I enjoyed finally hearing her British accent.
Oh, right? Yeah.
So it was really good to see that, and also Henry Cavill's British accent. Also, like, it was.
Yep.
It was good to see those two happening there.
Yeah, them in their element.
Yeah, exactly. It didn't bother me that the how people were talking about how this is a very happy or loving Sherlock Holmes. It didn't really bother me. But the thing is that I didn't think it was that of an exaggeration. Like I don't think it's. I felt like he was in character in the sense of just like he was just very stoic, very quiet, and very like, looking and analyzing everything. You know, the way that people made it seem like he was very like happy. I mean, like a very emotionally available and like open character and very loving. Like he wasn't like that. You know? He was just very quiet and methodical, I guess you can say.
Yeah, I read more about that, and I'll get into it as we get more into the podcast and more into the review, so you can see. But it's not. It's more of a loophole rather than like a complaint. It was a very strange thing. I was like, what? What do you? I thought the same thing you did. I'm like, he wasn't that loving. What did they mean? And then there was a whole thing about the rights and the certain way you got to play the character, and I'm like, oh, I see. It's just a loophole to try and sue them. It was so strange.
Yeah. Okay. I see where you're coming from. But overall, man, I really enjoyed the movie. I thought it was, it was worth the time that I spent with it, and I felt like the mystery was good, and the movie kept its pace, and I don't think it ever slowed down where I was kind of like, come on, hurry up, get on to the next part.
I agree.
So I think overall it was a good movie. Pedro, do you recommend it?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
I also recommend it.
For everyone. I can't even think of, I don't know, I can't even think of any moviegoer that I wouldn't recommend it to. I'd be like, hey, check it out. It's a fun movie.
Yeah, exactly. You're absolutely right. I definitely recommend it, and I think if anyone has a chance to watch it or is wondering what to watch, this is a movie out there you could check out. And of course, it's on Netflix, so you're not really losing anything but an hour and a half of your time, or 2 hours. I think it was a 2 hour runtime.
There was a
go ahead.
There was a good point you brought up earlier that she carried the movie, and you're right, because again, one of the things I went into going into the movie, I was like, oh, they got Henry Cavill because they needed someone to carry the movie. Like, he probably just makes like small scenes, and those scenes are probably what makes the movie. But you know what? No, it didn't.
No,
it was definitely her carrying it from beginning to end. I'm like, yeah, all right. Yeah. You're an enjoyable host because, she breaks the fourth wall. So
yeah, exactly. And I think I really enjoyed that moment, those moments where she breaks that wall.
Yeah.
We'll get more into it right now, but I also I enjoyed the fact that Henry Cavill wasn't that much in the movie, to be honest with you.
Yes.
He was sprinkled in perfectly throughout the movie, and I love that. And just like Helen Bonham Carter, the fact that she was sprinkled in also in the movie was fucking perfect, and it just worked very well with everything that was happening. So I think it was a great movie overall. But Pedro, let's get into the spoilers. Let's jump right into it and have a huge conversation or not. But spoilers ahead. If you haven't seen the movie, spoilers ahead. If you've seen the movie, follow us along. If you haven't, look at where we are. Pause it. Come back. Or if you don't care, whatever. Let's get into it. Pedro, spoilers ahead.
All right. Spoilers ahead. Here we go. So not really spoilers, but just to get into the whole Sherlock Holmes feels emotion type thing.
For sure, go for it.
So apparently in the first 3/4 of the books, the old books, he's very like kind of like how what's his name, Benedict Cumberbatch plays him, very like straight to the point, like fuck you, you're an asshole, you guys aren't on my level of intellect, that type of thing. And then he dies fighting Moriarty, and then after that he's missing, and then he comes back. So pretty much they had the rights to the books where Sherlock is before he dies, fake dies. And apparently, when you have the rights to that, you need to have the character a certain way. Now, when they had him in the Enola Holmes movie, they had him feeling more. And I guess the estate of, what's his name? Conan Doyle? That's the writer of the Sherlock Holmes movie, Sherlock Holmes books. They pretty much said, oh, you didn't pay for the rights for the feeling Sherlock Holmes, only the, you know, the more hard ass Sherlock Holmes. So we're gonna sue you. And I'm just like, really? That's so strange. That's such a weird loophole. Like, what the fuck? So, so that's where it came from, because all the headlines pretty much say everyone's upset with the feeling Holmes. But when you actually click into the articles, I was looking, I'm like, oh no, this has to do because they want to sue them for that. That's weird, because they're portraying an older Holmes rather than a younger Holmes, personality wise, according to the books. Very strange. I was like, yeah, man, whatever, fuck it. You guys are weird.
That's a stupid lawsuit, essentially.
Yeah, very stupid. I'm sure they're not gonna win. They're not gonna win that shit. I mean, stranger things have happened. Stranger things.
Yeah, it's true. But yeah, talking about Stranger Things, I really like we mentioned before we got into this, I really enjoyed how she broke the fourth wall, and it caught me by surprise when the movie started, and then it caught me by surprise that it kept happening, because I thought it was just like an intro thing, but then it just kept happening.
Yeah, I liked it. It was almost Fleabag-ish.
Yeah, it was actually. Yeah.
And in the beginning, I was like, oh, it's one of these. Oh, look at her. She's copying Fleabag, but not as good. But you know what? The more I watched it, the more I realized it adds to her character, because that whole family's insane. They're all like not mentally, socially there. So it makes sense that it's just her and her mom, and maybe she's like bored out of her mind sometimes with no one around. So she talks to herself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So her breaking the fourth wall is just her like, oh, this is going on in my head because I'm fucking crazy. So it added to the character. It's like, oh yeah, she's really socially awkward. Like Holmes, like her mom, like her brother. They're all socially awkward people in different ways. And it's just nice that they portrayed that with her too. So yeah, it grew on me. After a couple minutes, I was like, and then I was like, all right, there we go. I see what you're doing.
That's a good way to look at it, because I didn't look at it in that sense. And that's actually, it goes very well with the movie and her character, and it just makes complete sense that it's her coping. It's essentially her coping mechanism in dealing with shit. So that's pretty good. That's a good one. I didn't think of it that way. Huh. Interesting. But yeah, I enjoyed that part of the aspect of her character. I also enjoyed the fact that it did those quick cuts to her past, like things that were happening, and
oh yeah,
I really, those moments I really enjoyed too. It added more depth to the movie.
Yeah, the flashbacks of like how she trained. Pretty much, she's not a Mary Sue. She's not. She's not just magically smart and good at everything. Whenever something happens and you're like, how the hell does she know that move? Well, you look at the flashbacks and then it shows it, and it's like, oh yeah, she trained her whole fucking life with her mom that was training her for you know, this shit. And they gave her a very big weakness, which was that specific move that she tried to replicate. She did it twice in the beginning and totally failed, and then at the end was when she finally got it and smashed that dude's head. I was like, oh fuck. I did not expect that. So there were moments like that where I'm like, oh, it's not a kid's movie. That's right.
Yeah. And you know what? I think that's what I enjoyed the most about it. That it wasn't kiddie. You know, like you said, and when you said your part, it had some of those moments in there, but it didn't overtake the movie and didn't overtake the theme. The movie was very adult. It was very, straightforward. And it just had these comedic moments that you could tell that are the kiddie moments of the movie. But overall, in general, it wasn't that, And I think that made me more enjoy the movie even more. Because if it was kiddie, I would be like, oh, okay, I see what's happening or whatever. Kids having fun. But it wasn't. And it had more serious themes. And of course, almost the majority of the backdrop of the movie was the women's suffrage. And I thought that was super interesting,
Yep. I thought the same thing. So some of the reviews that I had read ahead of time, they were like, oh, it's pandering. I'm tired of seeing that. But when I watched it, I'm like, dude, that's the time. This is what's happening. This is the movement. And then the movie is pretty much doing what Mad Men would do. You know how Mad Men would have those moments where you're like, oh, man, I can't believe he's like talking to her like that. Or I can't believe like... like there were just moments where you just kind of get shocked, like, what the fuck? How can you do that? And then they show it here because that's how it was. Yeah. And then the whole thing of them trying to stop the vote so that women don't get, the vote. It was just like it all made sense in the timeline,
Yeah.
and it was a good way of putting it all over, and then making a female as the protagonist, and then her mom, like with the disappearance. I knew from the get go when the mom disappeared, I'm like, it has to do with her building like the suffrage movement.
Did you know it was a suffrage movement from the beginning? Because I didn't notice that.
Oh man, from the moment where she walks in and then all the women are at the table
Yeah.
and they're talking, I was like, this is the suffrage movement. That's it for sure.
Oh shit.
From that moment, I was like, it's gonna be one of these movies, and then it really just does make sense. It does. So I didn't think it was like, I don't know, pandering or like, oh god, no, not at all. I'm just like, this is great. It explains exactly what women went through here, and then she uses how do I word it? She uses things that were meant to inhibit women, like the corset. You tighten the women up so they could show, and then she uses that as body armor. So like things that are used to, quote unquote, torture women,
Yeah.
is used to enhance her abilities. So I thought that was pretty cool. I'm curious if that woman's gonna be like her Q for the sequels, and maybe come out with like other sort of gadgets that have to do with, I don't know, something like high heels is like a weapon, something like that. That'd be pretty interesting if they keep playing off that.
Yeah. No, I agree, and the movie definitely wasn't pandering, because it wasn't throwing it in your face. When a movie panders is when it's putting it in your face and it keeps beating you with it, and I feel that is pandering. This movie, it just had that backdrop, which the movie wasn't about that. It didn't have nothing to do with that. It's just something that was happening in the background. And
it's like we like to say the setting is the character. That was
exactly. That was a character.
The timeline is the character. There we go.
Yeah, exactly. So the whole everything that was happening wasn't. It was just like these little things, hints that as letting you know this is happening, and this is why the mom is gone. Like it's telling you to think more about not the movement itself, but this is the reasoning why the mother disappeared, and you just kind of trying to figure out those pieces. So I don't think it ever beat you over, beat the shit out of you with it, and at the end it just tied up nicely, because it was one of the reasons why this side plot, I feel like all her plots just kind of converged. And
yes,
when you're watching the movie, you're like, why is this having a side plot? Like, this side plot is irrelevant. And it just ended up looping in, and it just started making sense.
Yeah, you're like, oh, she's looking for a mom, but this stupid kid plot, what's going on?
Yeah.
And I thought the same as you. I thought, okay, this movie is going to have sequels. The mother plot is going to be through the 3, 4, however many movies, and then the kid plot is just self-contained, and then you have to... No, they kind of tied it all up. They just kept the mother still out of reach, so it still is a plot that's still happening, but they pretty much tied it up pretty nicely. That it's like she's just out there doing the work, helping the movement.
Yeah, essentially.
Did you know that... Well, actually, you just mentioned we didn't know that those were gonna tie together.
No, not at all. I didn't. It didn't cross my mind until it crossed her mind.
Yeah, exactly.
I
was like, I had this weird vibe that I'm like, I don't know. There was that scene where you first see the kid hiding in the train, and the family's like looking for them. I was like, man, the mom looks so shady. Like, there's just something about the mom. Is the mom trying to kill him so she can keep the money, inheritance type thing?
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, maybe the uncle too. Like, the uncle's going to marry her and keep the inheritance. I don't know. There's just something to do with the inheritance is what I kept thinking. Like, he's rich. And then, of course, when Enola finds out, oh, he's a lord. It's the vote. I'm like, oh, nice.
Nice. Good way to kind of wrap it up together, It was a perfect way to tie these two plot lines that were, on their separate way, were separate, but you were able to converge them together. I thought that was a really nice touch. What did you think about her, like her smarts and shit like that? Did you, was it believable for you?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, definitely. Especially when you see how smart the mom was, and of course, you already know through the training sequences, and just imagining that she was raised with a mother like that, that's very like hard on you, but at the same time loving.
Yeah.
Because you could see they had fun together, like she loved her, but then at the same time, it's like, all right, cut the shit, let's fight. All right, now study this. All right, learn these languages, whatever. So yeah, it was completely believable. What I did like was that I thought they were raised together, the siblings. But in the movie, you know, they pretty much tell you that she wasn't. Like right in the beginning, she says it, that the two brothers go and leave, and then she's raised by herself. So it's kind of interesting to see where she got along with Sherlock and then clashed with Mycroft, because he's more old school, like not going to change.
Yeah.
While Sherlock never gave a shit.
Yeah.
He's like, traditional or not, I don't care. It doesn't bother me. But then there's that point that the teacher woman that she brings up to him.
The lady with the coffee shop.
Yeah, there you go. It was a tea. It was the tea shop. That's what it was. Yeah, exactly. The Q, where she was pretty much saying, yeah, you don't care about it because it doesn't affect you. You could just, you know, live normal and you're fine because you're a guy. So you could just move on and not worry about it. But I just like how they made him sympathetic to her cause. Like, oh, you kind of remind me. I think he was kind of thinking like, oh, you remind me of me a little bit. Like, you know, you're smart. You want to get in adventures. You don't give a fuck about society rules like I don't give a fuck. The only difference is you're a woman, so you're like, it's frowned upon. While me, I just come off as a weirdo, and that's okay. Yeah. So it was just kind of cool to see the way they melded together, while the other brother was completely clashing. Like, no, it's because it makes sense because his story always has been the government man, you know, very by the book, hard ass. So it just made sense to see the clashing of the family dynamic. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I really enjoyed those two things, and they, you know, acting wise, they both did a really good job with the whole thing. One of my favorite scenes from Sherlock is and this is at the end practically, when he runs into when he's going to the police station after he figured out the crime, that there was a grandma the whole time. He walks into the police station and the guy tried to stop him. He's like, please. He just kept walking in. That was hilarious.
Yeah.
He was just like, please. Yeah. And then when he got out of the meeting and he found out that Enola is the one who figured it out, and he just started, he did that weird laugh like, ha. That was just that whole sequence. It was just very interesting how he acted. You know. I just love that sequence. It was on point the way he did it.
Yeah, I was like, damn, my sister knows what's up. Like, damn, I taught her well or whatever, you know. It was pretty cool.
It was good.
And I liked how she was able to disguise herself and sneak up on him, kind of like how he does. He does the same thing. So she just used his move on him. Like, I have no doubt that she had read his stories and knows his exploits. Yeah. So she probably learned from him as well.
She was saying that she clipped out all his articles.
You're right.
She read everything about him all the time, and she mentions that when they were talking. She's like, "I clipped everything out about your stories."
That's right.
Yeah. So
it just all made sense.
It
was like you said, it just melded so well together. The characters, the plot lines.
Yeah. And like how Helen Bonham Carter also, you know, in her quirkiness, it worked very, very well in this movie.
Mm-hmm. Right, because she's an actress that they always pick for quirky roles. Always, like she's never normal. She's always something eccentric in some way, and then she was eccentric with this as well. It wasn't as exaggerated, but you can tell there was something. Again, that whole family is just fucked. Like they're just so strange in some way. Yeah. So yeah, it definitely worked out for her. Overall though, the movie really did get me excited for sequels if it happens. But
if it happens,
I would like for them to do, you know, another, just to see how it goes.
Did you when the mystery was happening of, you know, who's after this kid, did you figure it out, or did you just figure it out with Enola also?
Oh no, like I said, I figured it out with Enola because I was just thinking the inheritance thing.
Uh-huh.
And then I was like, oh, it's the vote. Nice.
No, but I'm talking about like the person who was trying to kill him. Did you figure that out with Enola?
No.
Or did you...
Oh, shit. It's good you brought that up. No, I did not. That's totally... I mean, I know a couple movies have used that type of... It was like a Zootopia like type twist. like, oh shit, you're doing this to like what the fuck, like
Yeah.
the most innocent person, because I had a vibe the whole time. At first I was like, oh yeah, she's probably not down for the cause, but like that treehouse scene, like to me solidified like, oh no, she didn't yell for help or anything, so yeah, she's on her side. But nope.
Yeah.
It was more like, oh, find my kid, so then find my grandson, so then we can kill him, type of thing.
Yeah, essentially.
That's what I think it was. It's like, clearly my hitman is failing. Maybe you can do it, and then we'll just follow you or something.
Yeah. I figured it out with Enola also, when clearly when the grandma has a shotgun right there in his face.
Yeah.
So I figured it out with the grandma, but what I found interesting also is that she also killed her kid.
Yeah, dude, that was fucking nuts.
I'm like, shit, dude. Like, you really want to keep the status quo that you're going out of the way to kill your kid?
Yeah, I mean, I knew he had the armor because that was like a good way they set it up when he was dodging the bullets. They
super set it up when they shot it. Then the camera looked at it. I was like, oh, all right, this is gonna come into play somehow.
Yeah, I was like, he's gonna run holding it as a shield, or he's gonna put it as a bulletproof vest. And when he got shot, I was like, bulletproof vest. There you go. Yeah, it's the Back to the Future Clint Eastwood move. So
essentially, yeah.
That's probably the only moment where I was like, oh, yeah, so predictable. But really, for the most part, the rest of the movie, I was like, oh, yeah. I did not see that.
No, for sure. Did you think the cop was bad?
No. Only because he is an established character in Sherlock Holmes. He's like Sherlock's, not really best friend, because that's Watson, but like the one that he always works with as the cops. I knew he wasn't bad. I was just like, huh?
He's the Gordon?
Yes, it's exactly it. He's the Lieutenant Gordon, and Sherlock is the Batman, and then Watson's the Robin. There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I saw that, I'm like, oh, he's just being a pawn. He's not bad. He's just. I thought he would have worked with her near the end, but that moment never happened. It was just her solving the mystery, and he's like, oh,
that's
cool.
True. Yeah, I didn't know. I thought for a quick second he was bad. When he was trying to get her in the hotel room.
Yeah,
I was like, oh man, this guy's he's doing some foolish things here. So I thought for a quick second he was bad. And then you kind of realize that he's just, again, he was getting played.
Yeah. But
overall, man, overall, I like the movie.
I agree.
Any last thoughts, Pedro?
No, I think we hit them all. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 books, actually.
Wow.
6 books. She wrote them from 2006 to 2010.
I wonder if they're going to actually keep it going then.
That'd be cool. I'll have to look it up. I haven't heard anything about it getting greenlit for any sequel. Because, Netflix is really quick on the trigger when it comes to that. Like Extraction.
Or Buzz. There hasn't been much buzz. There was more buzz before than after it.
Yeah, that's true. It's probably the main reason why I think there isn't as much buzz is because I saw the trailer, so I knew she was talking to herself and all that, breaking the fourth wall. But when you look at the trailer, it's very kiddie. The trailer is very kiddie-like, and then it's like it's PG-13. It's not PG. It doesn't feel like it's PG.
No, it doesn't feel PG at all.
Yeah, I think the way they advertised it was incorrect. They should have bumped it up a little more, like shown a little bit more, I don't know, action in the trailers, and then it'd be like, oh, okay, it's one of these types of movies. But they definitely pandered it to like little kids, and I think that's the main reason why there isn't a lot of buzz.
And I don't think it's a little kid movie, to be honest with you. I think it's more like a teenager movie, if anything.
Yeah. Do you think your kid would like it, or you think he would just kind of be like, "What the fuck"?
He wouldn't know what the fuck is happening, because the whole point of these type of movies is the mystery, right? So if you don't understand the mystery and you can't follow it, then you're not gonna know what's up. So I think this is the perfect movie for like teenagers, tweens and teenagers, and and if they were trying to get them, they should have never been marketed as a kid movie. Should have been marketed as like a teenager movie, with more.
I think they marketing this is about on the Harry Potter level, I would say.
I think they should have marketed like the last Harry Potter movies, like the last 3 movies essentially, but not the first few movies, because the first few movies were kiddie, and I think that the way that the last 3 were marketed as a spectacle, because there was no kiddie shit happening in those trailers. It was more solemn or grim. So I think
those last ones were real grim.
So I think if you're trying to go after the teenagers, I think you should have just showed more of the mystery and her doing her thing instead of the happy moments or whatever.
Yeah,
I don't know. Whatever. It is what it is, Pedro. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you enjoyed this discussion review of Enola Holmes, a Netflix movie. Let us know your thoughts. Did you enjoy the movie? Did you figure out the mystery before Enola, or did you figure it out with her? Let us know your thoughts. Till next time.
Bye-bye.